Hello everyone, this is Rita and this is a very excited and happy Rita today. Why? Because this is going to be the very first time that I do a full face of Charlotte Tilbury. So if you're familiar with my channel, I actually always talk about Charlotte Tilbury. I love the brand, I love the products, I think they perform beautifully. I know they are a little expensive or very expensive, but in my humble opinion, I think they are very worth the money. We'll be going over all of the products that I have. This might be a little bit of a longer video, but if you're interested in seeing how I got this beautiful supermodel look, then please keep on watching. There was definitely a time in my life that I wanted Charlotte Tilbury products. Like, I couldn't afford them, but I loved watching the YouTubers, especially from the UK, that I really love, using these products and talking about how beautiful they were, and I could just dream about one day owning an eyeshadow palette, owning a lipstick from this brand. And now looking at all this spread that I have in front of me, it's just a dream come true. It might sound a little ridiculous to some, but whenever you love makeup, maybe like I do, wanting to own something from a brand, especially a higher end brand, and maybe you can't afford it, and then whenever you actually do, it's just like, wow, it just feels really nice. And having all this in front of me, I do not take anything for granted. Like, all of these products were bought with my own money, and I just love them, and I love having all of these products. And yeah, as superficial as it may sound, it does make me very happy owning all of this Charlotte Tilbury. So anyway, this is definitely what I would say my favorite makeup brand. All of these products I think are definitely worth your money, but if you want to go ahead and see them in action, then surprisingly, I had almost everything for a full face of makeup. The only thing that I was missing was a brow product, so I did go yesterday and pick up this new brow lift, which is actually, I believe, a newer product on her line. So anyway, for primer, I have really one that's considered a primer and then another one that's like a multi-use product. So we've got the Wonder Glow. This one is really what the primer would be, but we also have the Hollywood Flawless Filter, which this is, like it says, it's a youth glow product. So you can use this, I really love this product. You can use it as a primer, as mixing with foundation, and as a highlight. So I think I just used this one in my past videos, so I've been using this one a lot. So I think I'm gonna go for my base for the Hollywood Flawless Filter, and let's just go ahead and start applying this directly with the wand. It does come with kind of like an applicator already, so I'm just going to concentrate this on the top parts of my face and the high points, but I'm also going to be using this, well, basically just blending this everywhere into my skin. So I'm just going to use my IT Cosmetics brush and start blending away. For the sake of this video, I'm going to also apply a little bit of the Wonder Glow, just to add a little extra glow to my face, because we are going to be doing a full face of Charlotte Tilbury, and we know that she's all about that glow. So I did put both of the products together. We're going to be very glowy today. If you were considering picking any one of this as kind of like a primer, I would probably recommend more the Hollywood Flawless Filter, because this is a product that you can use in multiple ways compared to this one, which of course you can use it as a primer and to mix in with foundations that maybe are a little bit more matte. But overall, I do like the Hollywood Flawless Filter a little bit better. Both I love, and I like having both in my collection, but if I had to pick one, I would go for this. Same thing with foundations. I do have two of them, my favorite being the Light Wonder Foundation. This is the most beautiful, flawless finish. I really love it. It just looks beautifully on the skin, very natural but very glowy, which is kind of like what I prefer. And also we've got the Airbrush Flawless Foundation. This is going to be your full matte, full coverage foundation. This is something that I like to use mixing with the Hollywood Flawless Filter. So this is one of those foundations that I like to go in with a little bit more glowy to bring me a little bit more of natural glow to the skin. because the foundation is so matte. So for this one, it would just be really your preference. If you go more for a more natural glowy one, definitely go for this one, but if you prefer the more matte full coverage, go for this one. For today, I think I'm gonna go for the Light Wonder, only because, I don't know, I just feel like I haven't used this one in a while. So same thing, I'm gonna put it on the back of my hand. I love, love, love this foundation. I've got mine in the shade 7 Medium, and I'm just going to use the same brush, and we're going to start blending this into the skin. I believe she only has one concealer in her line, which is the Magic Away Liquid Concealer. She also has correctors, but I haven't tried those. It's not something that I use. This, I'm gonna be honest, was not one of my favorite products. So I don't think I would recommend this. It is more on the pricier side, and honestly, you get very little product, which you can see right there. All of the product that's left, and I've used this very little times. Like, I barely use it because I don't want it to run out because it's so expensive, but honestly you get very little product. So I'm trying to get them out. So yeah, I feel like you don't get enough product, and it's also not the best packaging. I don't really care for it. I feel like it takes forever just to get the product out. So again, this is not something that I would recommend. This is another problem with the packaging. So I was just twisting and nothing was coming up. So then whenever it finally came up, like a bunch of product came out. So now I'm gonna like not be able to use this product, so all of this is just gonna go to waste because it's just gonna stay there. Speaking of the actual product itself, I do like it because it gives me the full coverage that I need, but at the same time it also brightens my under eye, which again, that's like the two main things that I like to use concealer for, and it's not as easy to find. Like whenever you have a full coverage foundation, concealer, I'm sorry, to also get the brightening effect. So with this I get both, so I do like that a lot. But the only issue really for me is gonna be packaging in every shape and form. It's just not a good packaging, and you waste so much product. To a happier note, we've got the Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. I've got mine in the shade Medium. This is probably one of my favorite powders ever. It's very finely milled. It goes on super smooth and leaves your face, wherever you apply it, looking very smooth. I really love it. I am so happy this is part of my collection, and I definitely see myself repurchasing this time after time. Let's move on into the contour, and I do have two products right here that I love for contouring my face. We've got my favorite, which is the contour wand. I've got mine in the shade Medium Dark. So this is an absolute must-have. I feel like if I didn't have any other contour product, I would be happy with this one. And then we also have, of course, the beautiful Film Star Bronze and Glow. This is going to be a more contouring shade for me, and I really like it. But, and of course it comes with the famous highlight. Honestly, this little palette is very famous in general. But today I want to use the contour wand. So I just mixed it a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and apply this onto my face directly. This is another one of those products that honestly packaging could be a little bit better. It is very delicate in a way that it could get very messy very easy. So because of that, I suggest that you go easy on the product and don't kind of like pour a lot into your face, because again, it can get pretty messy. So I just apply that, and now I'm gonna move on with my small stipple brush, and I'm gonna start blending this into the skin. It blends out so easily and so effortless, like literally, like I am all done with my blending. I think I'm gonna apply a little bit extra on this side. And again, I am not even like putting much pressure on the product, because a lot of it will come out. So just watch out with that. I'm gonna also put a little bit here on my jawline to just define a little bit, and then I'm just going to touch very softly my bottom lip to create a little bit more of definition and to kind of like put a little bit of shadow there to make the lip look a little more pouty. Now that we are all contoured, let's move on to bronzer, and we've got this beautiful and huge product. This one is the airbrush bronzer. I got mine in the shade 2 medium, and I love that this product, it's actually refillable. So once you're done with your product, you can actually just go here. You see that huge spot? You will just click that, and then you can actually just buy your next bronzer and refill your compact. For this product, I'm gonna be using my big e.l.f. stipple brush, and this product, it's actually the same kind of like technology as the airbrush flawless powder. So it's going to provide you a better kind of like a better looking skin wherever you apply it. So I really do love that. It's going to make your skin look better, like more airbrushed. So who doesn't love that? So I'm gonna go ahead and apply this on the same places where I contoured, but just kind of like a little more liberal with this bigger brush. Also down my nose and then the center of my face, just right next to my cheeks, to create a more kind of like realistic bronze. For highlight, I also have another beauty wand. I've got this one in the shade Spotlight, and I also have this Magic Star highlight. So this one was from, I believe, a holiday collection, or maybe I don't know, it came out, if not this year, last year at the beginning of January or past December. It is very beautiful, but I think I'm gonna use both of them together. I think I'm gonna go first with the Beauty Light wand, and then I'll just use the other one on the top. So same packaging, so it's not gonna be the easiest to store, but it's a really good one. So I'm just going to go directly on the top of my cheeks, right where I would usually highlight, trying to get my hairs out of the way. And I'm just going to apply a couple of this, top of my nose, and then same thing on this side. And for this, I'm going to be using a smaller brush just to blend this in. Just to be a little bit extra, I'm going to add just a tiny bit of this one. It's going to be a pressed highlight. And I'm just going to tap off the excess, and I'm going to use it on the same places where I used the liquid highlight. I just want to be very glowy today. I do have 4 of her blushes, 3 being the Cheek to Chic, which I've got my favorite being a Pillow Talk, which this is what it looks like. This is my favorite out of the 3 that I have. And then I also have the Pillow Talk Lip and Cheek Glow. So this is kind of like a multi-use product as well. This is not going to be super pigmented. So I actually did get the darker one, and it's not as pigmented as it like looks on the product, on the pan. So I'm going to just go ahead and blend right here. So this shade for me is so beautiful on the lips, kind of like a your lip but better. But on my cheeks, it doesn't give me as much intensity. I do like it a lot actually, but it's not going to give you that like extreme pigment, if that makes sense. So for today, we're just gonna go for Walk of No Shame. Face is all done, but before we move on with eyeshadow, because that's going to take me a long time to decide which one I want to use, because I do have a lot of her shadows, let's do some lip liner, because I feel like my lips just look a little bit dead. So I do have 2 of her lip cheats, and these are probably some of my favorite lip liners that I own, like in general, across my collection. I've got the shade Pink Venus, which is a more pinkish, more intense pink. And then we've got Pillow Talk, which of course it's the very famous one, and you can see that I need to get a sharpener. But let's go ahead and use Pillow Talk just to like give my lips a little bit of more color. So lips are all done with lip liner. I just went on and filled them in with that Pillow Talk liner. So now let's move on to eyeshadow palettes, which I do have all of them here. I have 9 of them in my collection. There are a couple more that I would like to pick up, but nothing like too urgent that I really am dying to get. That's why I kind of like have had this for some time. Nothing new that has caught my eye. So anyway, here we have them all. I don't know which one I'm going to use just yet, or if I'm going to use any of this. I also have 2 of her larger size ones. These are called the I don't know what they're called, but I do have the Pillow Talk, which is my favorite eyeshadow palette. This is such a pretty color range, and this is kind of like my favorite type of colors. And then we have the one that she came in, I think she brought this one in 2019. So a more array of different shades. You've got 4 different trios to select from. And then lastly, I do have a little one here. This one is just the Easy Smoky Eye Palette. This one was from a Nordstrom sale exclusive, maybe like, I don't know, 2 years ago. So that's the only palettes that I have. But for eyeshadows, I also own 3 of the Eyes to Mesmerize. My favorite being Betty. So I've got Betty, Rose Gold, and Jean, which now Betty and Jean are no longer with those names. She changed the name, but this is what Betty looks like. Very, very pretty. I do have my eye in a couple more of this Eyes to Mesmerize. If I had to pick one palette as my favorite from her quads and then one palette to recommend, I would for sure tell you to get Exaggerize. So this is my very favorite one. This is one of the oldest formulas. So she does have that pop shade that can get a little tricky to use, but I still really love it. This is my favorite, followed by the classic Pillow Talk. But if you were asking me which one should I get first, which one is going to be the one that you absolutely love and cannot live without, that would be Exaggerize. It is just my favorite palette in the entire world. I could not be without this palette. I really love it, and I think they are very pricey, but I feel like they are worth the money. Honestly, I don't go for a lot of bigger palettes anymore, even though I have this too. They're kind of like curated for you to use in a simpler way, just like trios and of course the quads. But like, I would go over this palette on top of any of my other palettes back there that are bigger ones, just because it's so easy and they give you a stunning, perfect look, very Charlotte Tilbury. I feel like any of the palettes you get from her, you definitely get her signature look, which I absolutely adore. Exaggerize is my favorite. I think for today I'm gonna go for a newer one of hers. This one is in the shade Star Aura. This is a newer formula she came out with. I think this one was released at the beginning of this year. I'm sorry, no, last year. Yeah, last year. I'm thinking this was 2020. On 2020, and I really like, I bought 2 from this collection. There were like 4, I think. So I did get 2 of them. This one is my favorite, Star Aura. So for that one, I'm going to use as a base Rose Gold, just to kind of like use 2 products. So I'm just going to use my finger and blend this all over my lids. Now let's move on with Star Aura. I'm just going to go as she recommends. So I'm going to prime with the lighter shade. So I'm just going to apply this all over my lid with a flat shader brush. With a smaller blending brush, I'm going to use this shade right here, which is just the Define. And I'm going to throw this into my crease. And now I'm going to go in with the pinkier shade, so this one up here with that first brush that we used, and I'm just going to apply this all over my lids. And now to smoke out the eye a little bit, I'm going to use the darker shade, so this one down here with a smaller, more defined brush, and I'm just going to throw this into my lower lashes. With that same darker shade, I'm just going to use a more precise brush, and I'm just going to start blending this into very close to my lash line, just to create a bit of more definition. This palette, again, is not the same formula as her regular line, so this one does not come with a pop shade. I honestly don't think you need it because all of the shades are very shimmering and very glowy. So I'm just going to use the lighter shade to apply here on my inner corners. And I'm going to just add a little bit of this in the center of my eyes, like I would if I had a pop shade. Even though we already lined the eyes with the darker shade in the palette, I am going to go with Pillow Talk eyeliner, and I'm going to go back and emphasize that line a little bit more, and I'm going to draw a tiny wing line. So let's move on to mascara. I do have the Pillow Talk Push-Up Lashes. This one is actually almost empty, so I do need to repurchase at some point. But for now, we can still use it. It probably has maybe like 3 or 4, maybe 5 more uses, which is still a significant amount, and I don't really need another mascara at the moment. So let's go ahead and start coating the eyes really good. I love this mascara. It gives me both volume and length, which is what I love in one mascara. Eyes are all done, so now let's move on with eyebrows. So I did mention at the beginning of the video that the only product I was missing from her line to have a full face was a brow product. So she recently came out with this brow lift. This is basically a brow pencil. She came up with 2 of them, so a more thinner one, and then I did select the one that has the pencil a little bit more thicker, like a triangle. This is the kind that I go for. I don't really like those very thin ones. It's just not something that I prefer. So let's go ahead and test it out. And this new product, I really love that she came out with also a refillable option. So this one, you can just pull it out like that and then just buy this refill. I believe this is going to be $15. The full product is like $22, I think it cost me. So it's a cool thing because you actually, not only because it's going to be cheaper, but the plastic consumption is going to be less as you already have this product. So you just get the refill. Anyway, let's go ahead and start filling in the brows. Okay, so here are my brows with only the product. I do have to go back and probably perfect them a little bit better, but I just take such a long time, so I'm just gonna leave them as they are right now. You guys, I am loving this brow product. I honestly feel so good the way the brows are looking, even though again I only have this product in them. If I had to pick one lipstick only from Charlotte Tilbury to be my very favorite, I would not be able to do so. I don't think I could just pick one. So if I were to have the option to pick my favorite 3, like if I could only have 3 lipsticks from her, I know exactly which ones they would be because they're just my absolute favorite in all of my Charlotte Tilbury collection. So I'm gonna be very basic, but I mean, this lipstick is so popular for a reason. It's just a cult favorite. I would definitely have Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk as one of my favorites. My top favorite though is going to be without a doubt Stoned Rose. This is just the most beautiful peachy pink. I don't even know how to describe this shade, like terracotta. I don't know how to describe it honestly. It's a stunner, and this one is my favorite out of her line. My favorite finish. This one is her Kissing formula, which is basically a satin one. And then for my third favorite, I've got Karina's Star, which is a beautiful, another kind of like very odd shade. It's kind of like a muted red with some orange on it. I don't even know how to describe it. So these 3 are my absolute favorite. Like I could not be without these 3 lipsticks. I use them all the time, and these are kind of like my basics. Like if you're gonna ask me what lipsticks to get from the line, I'll say these 3. Stoned Rose as my absolute favorite, then Pillow Talk, and then Karina's Star. In no particular order, those 2 last ones, but definitely a must-have in my vanity. So after much consideration, I think I'm gonna go today for the shade First Dance, which this one came out last year as part of her wedding collection. She did come up with 3 new lipsticks, which I absolutely love, and I do have a full review on this collection. I'll link it up here on a card and then on the description down below. But that's what this one looks like. It's like a berry, like a light berry toned, and look at those kisses all over. Very stunning. Again, this one is First Dance. I think I'm gonna go for this one, just a very subtle berry shade. And underneath, I only had that Pillow Talk liner. So here you have it, you guys, a full face of Charlotte Tilbury makeup. Do I feel like a supermodel? I definitely do. There's just something special, honestly, about Charlotte Tilbury products that they just make me feel pretty. It makes me feel like my makeup is just like the best ever. Every time I use her products, I honestly love how everything turns out. Okay, you guys, so if you did enjoy this video, please give it a big thumbs up and hit the red button down here so you subscribe to my channel and you don't miss any of the upcoming ones. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!